All right, we are live. Welcome to the Rabyd Atheist. I am your host, Ed Rabyd, former pastor turned atheist, now a compassionate anti-theist. Welcome to my channel. Today is St. Patrick's Day in the United States. It's still St. Patrick's Day. Some of you down under might be moving into my birthday, so happy birthday to me in advance. But so here we are. Yeah, St. Patrick's Day in the United States, which I think we were the ones that were responsible for all the weirdness around St. Patrick's Day, uh, mostly because of the Irish immigrants. um, there's a time that was pretty hard for the Irish immigrants, especially after the potato famine. The history of the United States doesn't treat the Irish all that well at that time. Imagine that. Americans not treating immigrants well. Um, so there's that. But yeah, happy St. Patrick's Day. For St. Patrick's Day, I found a little video that we're gonna watch. It ought to be a little bit fun because it's done by the Christian Broadcasting Network, um, and they wanted to put their spiel about why the real reason why we, of course, celebrate St. Patrick's Day. I mean, you can't have it just be about Irish pride or whatever. You got to have it be about Christianity and the gospel and all that stuff. So, Christian Broadcasting Network is notorious for taking holidays and doing this kind of thing. So, for my holiday broadcasts, I may find them the most entertaining. So, but before we begin, a couple of things. There is a goal in the chat, and that's for a hat reveal today. I've turned off ads for the week. I'm in a celebratory mood because it's my birthday, so you don't have to earn ad-free broadcasts this week. So there's that. And then, of course, we have our weekly goals of 10 super chats and 20 to get Friday and Saturday streams. So welcome to Monday. But thanks, everybody, for stopping by. Hit the like button before we get too far into this. And then I want to also give a shout out to Wolf Sinclair Gaming because he became a member. So welcome, citizen, to the Rabyd Nation. I always love you members. You guys keep me from going completely, I'm too worried about the YouTube algorithm stuff. So there's that. Fred's here, though he's speaking unintelligibly, but then again, how is that not normal? I don't, honestly, Fred, I don't know how they pronounce the Gaelic. Okay, Gaelic is just, I've heard it spoken through recordings, and it's like, oh my God, that must hurt your throat. So there's that. Yeah, I'm kind of glad for that. Cranky Elder God is here. Rimmer is here. So there's that. Let's see who else. Atomic Punk is here. Busy at work. Iron is here. Good to see you, Iron. I think that's about it. But I have this little video. It's a news report by Christian Broadcasting Network from a couple of days ago. They did a story about St. Patrick. It's always interesting to hear a Protestant channel talk about a Catholic saint, for one. But this one, I figured a good video reaction is good for this one. It is somehow pronounced Rasheen, for example. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's Tame Trouser Snakes in Ireland. Oh, I can believe that. I can believe that. So there's that. Hey, Modern Atheism, welcome. Yeah, we're gonna have a little fun today. I found a Christian Broadcasting Network a couple days ago put out this video about St. Patrick, and I want to react to it. It should be a lot of fun. Some of you are knowledgeable about saints, some of you are not. The saint thing and the relic thing and all that stuff has just been very fascinating to me because I was always a Protestant minister, so the whole Catholic thing was kind of um, not something I really delved into. There were a few Catholic priests that I liked because they were decent humans. There are decent humans in the Catholic Church, by the way. It's just the organization itself is kind of shit. But uh, but yeah, I just so what we're going to do to kind of celebrate this is let's let's throw these guys onto the stage and I'm going to turn the volume back up and pause them so I can start it at a proper time. So I, I don't know, maybe it's possible. I think atheism has always been the same regardless, but I get the modern thing. So, all right, let's see what CBN has to say about St. Patrick.
St. Patrick's Day is more than shamrock, shillelaghs, green bagels, and beer. It's a time to celebrate the first Christian missionary to Ireland. Well, joining us with some insights is Christian historian William Federer. He's
all right. I like all the other stuff better than talking about the Christian missionary to Ireland, but I prefer the green beer. I don't go to too many celebrations, but I may run down to the local watering hole. I'm not sure yet. I'm not a very social person when it comes to these things, so there's that. But I note that this guy is a Christian historian, which automatically puts my radar antenna up. Yeah, that's also something that's true. The issue with St. Patrick is he's not the first Christian missionary to Ireland. He is probably the most successful at the time period. His story is very interesting. Uh, so there's that aspect of it. I don't know. You're right, Rimmer. The guy's already wrong because he wasn't the first missionary to Ireland. The Christians were already in Ireland. There was a lot of interaction between England and Ireland, so they were trading religion long before they got there. So there's that. But yeah, so he's already wrong. This is a Christian historian who has written a book about it. So I think they drag this guy out every year at St. Patrick's Day time to make this spiel. So we'll see. Yeah, it's a good day to drink. I mean, as if the Irish need another excuse to drink. They seem to come up with plenty of them. I know I'm Irish, so I can make fun. I have my great grandmother on my mother's side was Irish, full blood, and so that's where my Irish comes from. So, you don't like the drinking culture? Yeah, I get it. I'm not a bar fly. I don't head to the bar either very often. It's just not my thing. So. He's backed by the right people. Yeah, I would agree with that. You know all about saints? Oh, okay. There we go. There we go. I agree with that. Family drama. people are a lot easier to deal with the more you get drink. I can buy that, I guess. I don't think it's weird though, Bren, that you don't like drinking culture. I get it. I just don't know too many. Man, alcohol is so steeped into American culture, and there's all kinds because we're a nation of immigrants, so we're just a bunch of mutts, and so we'll drink anything, I think. But yeah, I get it. I get it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, don't try to ban it. We've already done that once. This does put into question, Bren, where you are truly an Australian. Yes, there are many other green things that you can partake in. So plenty of stuff. So we have our Christian historian that's going to explain to us who St. Patrick was. Let's see how many things he gets right and how many things he gets wrong.
Author of the book St. Patrick, the real story of life and times from tragedy to triumph. Bill, it's good to talk with you again. So many people think St. Patrick was Irish.
I have to make a note about the title of the book at this point. That's not the kind of title I really see on history books. It's the kind of title I see on somebody trying to promote something, promote somebody. So I don't know, from that kind of thing, I would say that's true history. So, but I get it, I guess. But he's talking about the fact that St. Patrick actually isn't Irish in the first place. So
many people think St. Patrick was Irish, but he was actually British. So what's the biggest misconception that people have about the patron saint of Ireland?
Okay, I want to stop there. Anybody in chat, what do you think the biggest misconception about St. Patrick is? I need to know. I think it's the fact that this guy is going to. How much is history and how much is myth about St. Patrick? He gets a lot of credit for a lot of the Irish stuff and a lot of the Irish symbolism, and there's not a lot of historical evidence of that. It's like you have all this stuff and then you just attach it to the saint because it's one of those things. So you don't have. Yeah, I've heard that with some people. So yeah. Yeah, that's what he says about himself. You know, I'm not I don't think that's an improbable thing. I don't know. It seems like slavery back then was, of course, a lot more common. So I'm not sure what he pretty much did. I don't know. This is one of those things where the historians, even the secular ones, kind of say is very possible. So I'm not sure if that's a misconception so much as a debatable point in history. The funny thing about St. Patrick, he has written something. So his own confessions at the end of his life. So near the end of his life. So we have some information about him firsthand, so to speak, but we still can't pin down when he was born and when he died or any of that kind of stuff. There's just a lot of. Yeah, I often wonder about this. Was green really his color? You know, I don't know if green was really his color. It's one of the few times you'll see me wear green. It's because I'm a Michigan fan. So, and those of you that know. So, that's I don't find too many secular historians, rumor, that don't think that Patrick wrote the Confessions. They seem to think there's a majority of them that think it's authentic. So, but then again, he's writing about himself, and autobiographies always are kind of dicey. Even today, when people write autobiographies, it's kind of dicey because of how slippery memory can be, and how we like to exalt ourselves and diminish others seems to be a natural phenomenon and thing. So I've watched a few actual historians on St. Patrick, and they don't really question that he wrote his confessions. So at least I haven't heard anybody do that. The thing about St. Patrick is there's more evidence for him than for Jesus. I'll just put it that way. So, no. It's possible. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't find too many historians that take that view. You don't need to kill witches. You don't need excuses to kill witches when you're the Catholic Church. You're just doing the world a service. I don't think you need to concoct, this video is going to get into that a little bit about the Druids and stuff. So, proportional to the number of people watching. Okay. Yeah, this is actually kind of the thing, Fred Harmy. There's a good chance he existed, and there's a good chance he wrote the Confessions. However, um, like, Ape is right, and he can question the existence of St. Patrick. It's far back enough that it's really hard. One of the historians that I would listen to started out with that idea. He says, you got to understand what we're working here was very scanty. So we're doing the best. We're doing the best we can with what we have, but there's no reason to doubt from a historical point of view. But yeah, it's quite possible that he could have been made up too. Yeah, it's kind of possible that some things were added to the Confessions. I don't know if anybody's done a textual view of the Confessions to see. I'm sure some obscure PhD has done so. So I get what you're saying, Abe. It's just there's other secular historians that look at St. Patrick and they don't doubt his historical existence or that he wrote the Confessions, which is saying something because normally their instincts go off and they try to be professional about it. So there's that. Yeah, I mean, like Martin says, and welcome, Martin. I get it. I get why you would do that because I had a guy ask me about church tradition and I didn't respond. I'll tell you my basic problem with church tradition. They lie a lot. Okay, there's a lot of open fabricated lies in church tradition, particularly Roman Catholic tradition. And so, no, I don't trust it. Okay. But at the same time, if a secular historian who doesn't have an axe to grind looks at one of these people, one of these saints, and says, yeah, he probably existed and he probably wrote the Confessions, then okay, I'll take that. Okay. Because he doesn't have an axe to grind one way or the other. So, hey, Earl, good to see you. So there's that. That's not what I'd say of him, but I won't type those words here. I know what you feel. Guys, I get the feeling. This saint is controversial, especially to pagans. Pagans do not like St. Patrick. They think he's an asshole. So there's that. But we'll get to that. Let's see how much CBN can give themselves enough rope to hang themselves about him. So there's that.
Well, Patrick was kidnapped about 16 years old in 405 AD and taken to Ireland. Now, Ireland was ruled by Druids. That's where we get Halloween. They believed in cutting off heads and that the woods were inhabited by spirits that constantly needed to be appeased. And the warriors there, the Romans called them insane, that they would get pretty crazy in their fighting. Well,
okay, so we're a Christian channel, so we have to throw a whole bunch of shade on paganism, as if Christians didn't kill people in evangelistic work, as if they didn't kill pagans. The Druids. So I don't know what else to say there, other than to say, dude, you believe in demons. Okay, if you believe a biblical view of the universe, you believe in demons, you believe in the Holy Spirit running around, you believe in spirits too. Okay. And to sit there and throw shade on pagans because they believe in woodland spirits that needed to be appeased or appeased or I don't know what that means. So not a much yet. Oh my gosh. But yeah, it's but yeah, I don't it's just it's very interesting that he talks about the beheadings and like Christians didn't behead people that they disagreed with. The history of Europe of paganism versus Christianity is one of a lot of blood and a lot of death and a lot of war. Um, so this notion that somehow um, Christians didn't do some of that stuff too, I think is kind of interesting that they have. But they're using St. Patrick kind of throw shade on the Druids. The Druids were what they were. I won't say they were the greatest individuals with religion either. I'm an atheist, so religion is kind of one of those things I don't have a lot of love for. So, in general, I think it poisons everything. I think Christopher Hitchens was right, but I always love it when Christians talk about pagans because it's like their version of the gospel coming across the world is we spread the gospel with love and everything else. And it's like, no, this was a long war of ideologies that ended in a lot of bloodshed. And of course, the Druids are kind of left holding the sack because none of them really wrote anything. They were illiterate. So they didn't write anything about the people that basically killed them off. So there was that. So yeah, they believed in a sky god that had to be appeased. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, most of them are kind of pathetic. I would grant that. Ugh, not in your chat. Okay. Howdy. I don't know how to say that, and I'm not going to try and butcher it. So. Born a pagan and fell for Christianity. Oh my goodness. I don't know, Katie. I mean, the Hebrew God certainly does that. There's definitely human sacrifice in Yahweh worship. I've gone over that with Jephthah's daughter. Nobody seemed to object because it was a human being. But yeah, I don't know. The thing about Christian shade about paganism in general has always been I find pagans more agreeable than Christians because a pagan isn't trying to make me into a pagan. Okay, they just practice their shit, and if you ask them, they share about it. Whereas the attitude of Christians, they always got to get in my face about shit. So there's that. Well, there you go. Welcome. Stumble blindly. Yeah, that's the problem with the Druids is it's mostly Catholic propaganda. We just don't know anything from their own lips or anything. There's a lot of stuff that survived due to oral tradition or handing it down one person to the next. But as we all know from studying the Gospels, oral tradition is dicey at best. So I'm not really sure what we can ever know. So once again, we have propaganda here because we don't really know what the Druids stood for. Yeah, they get a lot of shade by the Romans and the Christians. I think the real problem that like the Romans had with the Irish is they had an awful time with the Irish. And that's because the Irish were absolutely crazy about defending their homeland and have always been so. So I think the problem the Romans had was their conventional tactics didn't always work against the. It's like any civilized country that has a professional army when the native groups don't fight the way you want them to. Okay, you call them crazy or nuts or whatever. There's that. Since World of Warcraft, yes. Yes, we have. All right, so enough of that. Let's see what we're going to learn about St. Patrick from CBN News. Yeah, I think they were overstretched too, but I also think that it's like when the Americans went to Vietnam, the Viet Cong didn't fight in conventional manners, didn't fight fair. You have this idea of crazy fighting whenever you had, like the British met the same thing several times in their existence, where they were fighting like a professional army, and the people fighting against them didn't give a damn. So like it's a well-known part of history where people just kind of, armies don't fight the way that the other army wants you to.
Patrick is a slave for 6 years, has to tend sheep, and then he starts praying, and the Lord speaks to him in a dream. And he
Okay, so now we know why this guy's a Christian historian, because he's like accepting the Christianese part of it, the dreams, the stuff that Patrick has. So yeah, it's kind of my point. The guerrillas don't play fair, and I kind of get that picture from the Irish versus the Romans, as they were guerrilla fighters and they just didn't fight fair. They wouldn't line up in straight rows and fight like the Romans did. So, so kind of similar things have happened in history. We'll just put it that way. But yeah, but so he's taking the confessions as kind of the gospel when it comes to Saint Patrick. Like he's showing his bias in the fact that he believes in the prayers and the visions and the dreams and that stuff. Saint Patrick has a lot of dreams. We'll just put it that way. So
he said that he wrote in his confession, which is something he wrote later in life. After I came to Ireland, every day I had to tend sheep. Many times a day I prayed. The love of God, his fear came over me more and more, so that in a single day I would say as many as 100 prayers. And the Lord opened the sense of my unbelief, and I converted to the Lord my God, who comforted me as a father would his son. And then he said, one night I heard in my sleep a voice saying to me, "It is well that you fast. Soon you'll go to your own country." And another time the voice said, "See, your ship is ready." So he escaped, goes to the coast, finds a boat where they're putting wolfhounds on it to take to Europe to sell as hunting dogs. And they give him a ride if the dogs will mind him, which they do. The boat is shipwrecked in Gaul, southern France. And then he hitchhikes his way across Europe, gets back to Britain, and sort of uneventful until he turns 40 years old. And he has another.
okay, so Saint Patrick's early life we get from the confessions, like his own words. And so while I don't have any cause, this is very mundane stuff. Other than the belief in God thing, like God led him back to England, seemed to be kind of a circuitous route for God. God always seems to do that, he never quite seems to get you in a straight line, so to speak. But yeah, so it's just it's interesting, the early start of St. Patrick's life as he records it, that he suddenly prayed one day, and I'm sorry, if I had to tend somebody else's sheep and wasn't getting anything out of it for 6 years, I'd find a way to walk off too, and whatever excuse I needed. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting story that he's telling about himself. It's kind of adventuresome. He finds this ship. It's like, you don't need God to tell you that at the time. If you just head to the east coast of Ireland, you're trying to find a British ship, heading to Britain, or somewhere in Europe. So yeah, it's this guy just is basically accepting the dream part and the miracle part of it, the guidance by God part of it. CBN, has a predisposed bias to accept those things. And so they found somebody that'll tell you the story of St. Patrick and accept those things. So, hey, Anne-Marie. Hey, yeah, you're late, but don't worry. We still got a little bit to go here. And thank you for becoming a member. I shouted that out earlier, but you weren't here. So thanks you for that. Yeah, you can always trust stories that people tell about themselves. Yeah. No, I know. Okay. And he's writing his confessions much later in life, like after all the stuff has happened. It seems like it's at the end of his life, where he's kind of just recounting some of the things. And don't I don't know. I don't know. So it's kind of weird that happens. That people write things at the end of their life about their life, and that's fine. A lot of people do it, but St. Patrick puts a lot of miracle stuff in, a lot of dreams he had, and guidance by God, so to speak. His praying 100 times a day. It's like, well, what are you praying? That's actually not hard if you think about it. God, thank you. God, thank you. Say that 100 times. You're all set. Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like, it's not actually that far. Okay, it really isn't. It's isolated enough where Ireland always has been able to maintain some level of independence, except when the British were around. So, but they were always able to push people out. I find the history of Ireland actually kind of very interesting because they lose their contact with the Holy See for a couple hundred years. So the Christianity they have after St. Patrick, they got to remember the timeline here. Christianity up until about 400 BC, 400 AD doesn't have like celibacy as part of their priests or any of that stuff. And so they lose contact, and the priests remain getting married. I think in Ireland, polygamy started to get practiced because of the Christian Bible. So they had that aspect. And then later on, Catholic Christianity had to kind of take over again. So, well, it's quite possible. It's interesting. See, this is a good illustration of how people are selective believers in what they want to believe. It's a very good psychological take because CBN is basically, if the Christian says it, it must be true. If it reflects my Christianity, it must be true. My largest problem with religion most of the time is when I confront them about how they don't believe in other religions and why they don't, and that those same reasons are good enough for their own. That's usually when the conversation takes a negative turn. So, so there's that. Yeah, it's like Paul Ack's story is exactly the same that Marcus Agrippa. Yeah. See, that's the other problem I had with this story. Remember when I heard it, I'm like, damn, if that isn't kind of close to the book of Acts. Because, he gets on this ship and then they ends up being shipwrecked in Gaul. Why is there a shipwreck? Why can't he just have a peaceful voyage? It's always like this adversity thing that they put into the stories. And we have of course, corroborating testimony on St. Patrick being shipwrecked in Gaul and having to hitchhike across, which I find a hilarious term, but having to hitchhike across Europe to get back home. We don't actually have that at all. Okay, so we are left with St. Patrick's word that this is what happened to him. Now, do I have any reason to doubt the man? I don't know. He was a man of faith and religion, so I guess I have a lot of reasons to doubt him, but he may very well have been very sincere for all I know. So, yeah, it's kind of a literary genre, the shipwreck story. Some of those shipwreck stories are true. So there we go. Let's see where our Christian historian friend leads us next.
Another dream. He writes in his confession, in the depth of the night, I saw a man named Victoricus coming as if from Ireland with innumerable letters, and he gave one. And as I was reading, I thought I heard the voice of those who were beside the wood of Focluth saying, please, holy boy, come and walk among us again. Their cry pierced to my very heart. I could sleep no more, so I awoke. He took that as a call from God to go back to Druid Ireland, and he has a half dozen monks with him, and they go right into the smoky den of the chieftain.
Okay, I want to pause the story right there. So we have another dream where basically there's a call from the Irish people to come and save us and walk among us again. Now, after 6 years in Ireland, I'm sure he spoke the language, so it makes perfect sense that he would be a good missionary to go there because he already speaks the language. Missionary work today they make a big deal about you got to learn the language before you leave, or at least have a good working knowledge of it before you get there, or a translator or something like that. So we have this miraculous story told by the man himself about how he got called back to Ireland. Yeah, valid point. Every hero is a shipwreck except Jesus. He calms a great storm on a very small lake. It's a small freshwater lake. Yeah, it's not even as big as the Great Lakes, so I'm not impressed. I saw the Sea of Galilee size. I mean, it's a good fishing lake, I guess, but it just doesn't impress me for size. That's probably because I live amidst the Great Lakes. So, if I drive an hour, west of here, I can see Lake Michigan. So, and that's a big lake. When you can't, the problem with the Sea of Galilee is you can like see the other side. You can see the other side of it. So he never deals with this guy never deals with the snakes, and so I'll touch on it. Seeing one of you has said it. I found a little historian who said the reason why there's no snakes in Ireland, from a point of view of history, is that the ice age came in and it got too cold for snakes. So if there were any native snakes in Ireland, they died off. And then the isolation of the island just never has allowed snakes to return. So his belief about the whole snakes thing was that it was a metaphor for St. Patrick's driving out paganism, and paganism is represented by the snakes. So it has nothing to do with him, but somehow it got morphed into a miracle story, which is why he's a saint. So, and the thing about St. Patrick's Day is it's a latecomer. It's not as recent as I thought it was. So there's that. So, um, that was an interesting thing about the snakes, is that there's a real good scientific reason why snakes aren't in Ireland, and then of course Christian saints have to take credit for it. So it's always somebody taking credit for it. So there's that. Oh man, yeah, he's dreaming his life away. The belief in dreams is one of those things that Christians, a lot of religious people of all different faiths believe in the power of dreams, and I'm just like not convinced that it's not the pizza that I had the night before. Sometimes, so um, Jesus was a sailor when he walked down on the water. Yeah, that's probably true. It must have been the God sperm. Yeah, probably that God sperm. It does a lot of magical effects. Let's see the video. They teach the kids healings with squirt guns, how the Holy Spirit heals through like acts of God. Yeah, I can see them doing that. As a former Pentecostal, I had a lot of connection with the Vineyard Christian Fellowship, because they're charismatic in origin, and so yes, the belief in miracles is strong in them. So yeah, I'm sure a lot of the missionary outreach is the idea of miracles and belief in dreams and stuff like that. So it's not unusual. Um, so there's that. Yeah, Dreamweaver. Song was about religion. Yeah, I mean, it's a nice song. I mean, there's a lot of nice songs. Don't always see. The problem is being a metalhead. A lot of songs from the groups I like are about religious topics, and I'm just like, yeah, don't care about the topic. The music jams though. So no, I don't, because the way we celebrate it here in the United States is purely a U.S. thing. Like we're the ones that brought. Yeah, it's the United States that brought the green beer and painting the river green, and getting drunk on St. Patrick's Day is kind of a ritual, and the loudness and the weirdness of it and the ridiculousness of it is purely an American adventure, which I fully accept. If there's one thing that Americans will do, we will find a way to make it an excuse to do anything. And I get that. So yeah, me too. That's the thing, but I don't trust my brain when I'm asleep half the time. It's interesting that spiritualism in general has embraced dreams, and all religions seem to have their acceptance of dreams as a part of reality. Like if you notice back when I played the thing, that guy literally treats this dream thing as a reality. And St. Patrick, if he wrote the confessions, treats it as a reality. Like it was part of their reality that they trusted and they put their faith in. It's like it's not there. You have a brother crossing on Kellen Murphy. There you go. Yeah, there's a lot of it. They talk about religion a lot. Yep. Yeah, that's the thing. The Irish, I don't know. They just use. I think they use St. Patrick's Day as an excuse to get more drunk than usual. So I don't know about the leprechauns. I don't think they're part of St. Patrick's story. I think they're kind of pagan, actually. So he wouldn't have liked them. I mean, I do too. Don't get me wrong. I love the fact that Americans do this over the top thing with a lot of these holidays. But yeah, I love it. It's a lot of fun. Um, but everybody's Irish for one day, I guess. So, so there's that. I'm not sure. That's a good question. I would have to look that up. How old is the mythology of leprechauns? How deep does it go? And are they magically delicious? So I've used that as an example to theists. I mean, if I said that magically delicious leprechauns existed, wouldn't you demand proof out of me? That's a claim, and so if you say that there's a God that exists, shouldn't you provide evidence for the claim? So I think there's some inward lakes in Minnesota that are bigger than that. I know for damn sure the Great Lakes are way bigger than that. So there's that. I think the thing is with like the Irish today, they've kind of adopted some of these American traditions, but it's like a somber Catholic thing. It's a saint day. Of course it's somber, but break a million mirrors. Oh, mothers. Yeah. My mom kind of pokes at my life every once in a while too, in a way. So there's there. They will sentence you to wearing green shoes. Oh yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Yeah, I mean, we do that a lot. Americans like to party. I'll give them that, and I think it's because of all. We accept the party traditions of any nation. If you have a party tradition, we will accept it. Okay, we will bring that in and make that our own. Yeah, there's a lot of lakes in Sweden that are bigger than that, but yeah, the Sea of Galilee is not very big. If you go, I had friends go to the Holy Land. They were kind of disappointed how big it was. Like it's a really small lake, um, and it's not very big at all. So like there are lakes in Michigan, I think that might be bigger than that. I think we have one big lake that's inland, and it's kind of sizable too. So one of the lakes north of me is almost that size. So oh yes, yeah, we do. We work all week and then drink all weekend. It's kind of the American thing. I don't do that because I work at night, and so I crawl out of my coffin at night and go to work and come back home and say American God shows leprechauns as once being Irish gods. Don't know if there's any validity to that, but considering how the Catholics roll pagan ideas into the religion, it could be. David, you may have a valid point. See, it's kind of like the Norse idea of giants and stuff. It's the giants really aren't like big people; they're just major forces of nature. So it's like you have this idea in Norse paganism of civilization versus the chaos of nature, and so so they morphed into something else once the Greek uh, myths got added to the Norse myths. Then the giants become giants. That's one of the theories I've heard. So Yeah, all the Great Lakes are bigger than that. Every single one of them. Even like, what is it, Lake Ontario and Lake Erie are the two smallest ones. So there's that. Yes. Yes, the vampire running the Fangs bunny has arrived. Yes, Fangs is here. He is the official mascot of the Rabyd Atheist channel, is Fangs. So he's my vampire zombie. Oh, yes. No, I usually have, I'm going to have streams on Monday, but I want to do holiday streams because I think they're a lot of fun, especially when they're saint holidays like this one, because we're getting some major league bullshit about St. Patrick here. So from a Christian historian here on CBN News. So, oh, yeah, I used to do that too. Yes, vampire rabbit atheist. That's me. Yes, the Fangs bunny is here. Hail, all hail. The sad thing is he doesn't come up on stream yard, so that makes me sad. But all right, let's get back to our story of St. Patrick. Seeing we've got him believing a dream to come back to Ireland. He's in the chieftain's den, and here's the story that he tells.
And begin to preach the gospel to him in their own language, which he had learned years ago when he was a slave. The Druid priests want to kill him right away because they recognize this is a new religion. And the chieftain said, wait, we don't get visitors that often, and he's unarmed. And the chieftain ends up converting and giving Patrick a plot of land where he builds his first church.
Now, see, there's conflicting stories that I've heard about St. Patrick's first church, because I've also heard that somebody gave him a barn and he built his first church in a barn, using an old barn. I also, the whole thing about the Druids wanting to kill him, is that really because it's a recognition of a new religion, or is it a recognition of the fact that Christians weren't exactly great when they interacted with the Irish people either? So like there was this thing where people, there was already this rivalry between Christianity and paganism in Ireland. And so, and once again, we only have St. Patrick's word that they threatened to kill him. So there's that. So thanks, Ronald. Appreciate the memberships. Let's see, Atomic Pump, Eric Smith, Cranky Elder God, Ember, and Michael Bell all got gifted memberships from Ronald. Thank you very, very much. Yeah, that's the thing. It could have been self-defense. Like they already had experience with Christians and they knew what was in store, because the Christians were not nice to the Druids. Okay, the Druids, got absolutely slaughtered by these people. And of course, the justification is the Druids were evil people. But we don't have that from the Druids. We only have that from the people that killed them. So it's like, yeah. So there's that. See, I didn't want to go there, Cranky Elder God. The fact that he tended sheep for six years and maybe just got tired of using the sheep, but and wanted to head to places where there were actually women. But he ends up being celibate anyway. I don't think he gets married, so doesn't mean he was celibate, I guess. But there's plenty of unmarried people that aren't celibate. So yeah. But I didn't want to go there because he was shepherding somebody else's sheep. Well, I was going to leave that alone, but thanks you for bringing it up. You had to walk too far to kiss a cow. Eddie Farmer will tell you that. I used to work on my grandfather's farm when I was in my teen years, so I know what you're talking about. I threw hay every summer. So yeah, that's what makes me wonder about this story, because remember, we're getting this from St. Patrick's confessions about what happened. And so the fact that they tried to kill him might be a complete fabrication on his part to justify, his trying to convert them. So, there's a lot of speculation around St. Patrick because of some of the things he says. And the problem with the Druids is, once again, we don't have a lot from the Druid side of things. Everything that we have about the Druids is written by the people that either were their enemies or killed them. So I don't know. That's kind of the thing. Not really. I was a Protestant minister, so the whole the sainthood thing and the relic thing are just kind of a fascination for me right now, because I don't know the rationale behind why people believe it and follow it. It's still kind of one of those things where I'm not sure. I'm not sure how a Protestant church or missions would react to saints that are acknowledged by the Catholic Church. I don't see them doing it. But St. Patrick's Day, I didn't mind if people wore green on it if it fell on a Sunday, and it was okay. It was cool. It's a fun holiday for a lot of people, so I let it go. Honestly, this is kind of what I have come to the conclusion, that St. Patrick has kind of become this thing where everything in Irish identity is, they shove that on it. So I get what you're saying, because the Irish did go through some shit, like the potato famine, and then immigrating to the United States. A lot of them faced a lot of crap. And the fact that the modern party style celebration occurs in the United States is not a coincidence. Just trying to find some sort of sense of Irish identity and pride in the midst of a world that hated them. I can see it. So, yeah, and that's why. I mean, they're basically illiterate, but at the same time, it's like, it would have been convenient if one of them had become literate and wrote some shit down. Oh, yeah. There's not too many religions that try to nullify other people's beliefs. You're right about that. Yeah, don't forget Cromwell. Yeah, Cromwell was kind of yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a Christian confession, David. It sounds legit. I agree with that. That's legit. So there's that. Oh. Oh man. You guys are doing well in chat. Let's see what other historical claims our friend is going to make.
Patrick writes, daily I expect murder, fraud, or captivity, but I fear none of these things because the promises of heaven. By the way, the Druids were illiterate, and Patrick's trying to convey to them spiritual concepts. And so he uses the three-leaf clover to teach the Trinity. Father, Son, the Holy Ghost, three in one. And so Patrick is credited for baptizing 120,000 people and starting 300 churches.
Okay, so yeah, there's also the claim that the Druids weren't illiterate, that the churches were very good at getting rid of their stuff. So there's that aspect of it. Of course, this guy, is kind of heading the direction, the Druids were illiterate. He's trying to use concept. Now, the three-leaf clover thing, some of the historians I listened to said that that's a later addition to the St. Patrick myth. So we kind of go back to this idea of people needing a cultural identity, and they, the better story is like the English accused the Irish of being down on all fours and eating clover like grass, like cows. And that was kind of an insult that he did. So they kind of picked it up and owned it, as one of their symbols. And then later on, St. Patrick, of course, gets credited with this Trinity ideal. Kind kind of thing. I don't really think the three leaf clover is a good example of the Trinity. It's one leaf, but it's three little lobes on it. So I don't know. The Trinity thing, to me, has always been polytheism masquerading as monotheism, but there's that. Yeah, it very much is a cultural thing for a lot of these stuff, especially in the West. I don't know too many people that actually, if you sat them down and talked to them about St. Patrick, they don't have a clue. What they know is St. Patrick's Day is a great day to drink green beer and have some fun with friends and have an excuse to call into work tomorrow. So not that I need one. I got the day off. So yes, poor Pharaoh. He got banned from a Christian debate the other night for asking why the Bible acknowledging sin, a moon god predating the New Testament. Yeah, that's a very interesting question, Abe. I don't know why you'd get banned. Well, actually, I do, because they can't handle that kind of crap. They don't know what to do with that. It's like asking people anything about their faith, their beliefs, when they really don't know. To be fair, Kyle, yeah, probably. Almost all holidays are part of the culture, so it's a cultural identity thing. But I don't mind St. Patrick's Day. Gives me an excuse to go buy some sort of whiskey and put it in my cupboard. Not that I drink very much, but some Irish whiskey always will clear your throat for sure. Yeah, I do too. Equinoxes, solstices, they're kind of interesting. And that's kind of the basis for all the holidays is the changing of the events in sky. And for Northerners who experience four seasons, there's a lot of holidays in relationship to those four seasons. So like Christmas for winter, Easter for spring. For Americans, like we have like 3 holidays in the summer. They're all patriotic. So, and then you have fall has Halloween. So there's always something that we do with cultural identity. So, all right. So we got Patrick being credited for the 3-leaf clover being the Trinity thing. I think that's sus. So I think that's really sus.
Even the encyclopedia said he found Ireland heathen and left it Christian. And here we are 1,500 years.
Yeah, and I'm not really sure that's for the better. Because what this guy's going to leave out is when the Anglican Church, the English invade and they want to establish the Anglican Church, and you have the very Catholic Irish island that has been the fostering of wars for several hundred years now. And so Christianity turning on itself and starting to beat each other up has come to Ireland as well. And I remember when I was a young person, that was in the news all the time, the Irish, Republican Army and the whole bit, so there was fighting there, killing over religion as late as the 1980s and 90s. So I know you have seasons. I know that. I'm not, I get it. Okay. It's the 4 seasons that I was pointing out. Good grief, Fred. You're hyperly sensitive. Very sensitive person. Do you cry at romantic movies, Fred? I just want to know. So yeah, I know. The tariffs. Oh my God. The press secretary that's saying tariffs for a tax cut. Oh, please. All the Irish whiskey is being shipped to Canada. Are we going to have to open up the prohibition routes again, Katie, through Michigan? I mean, I know Ann and I live here in Michigan, but there was a lot of prohibition smuggling came through Michigan. That's why Al Capone set up in Chicago. So are we going to have to open those up so we can smuggle duty-free Canadian whiskey in and Irish whiskey and any other alcohol that comes from another nation? We're going to have to do that. I mean, I'm sorry, those tariffs just set up a smuggling ring to me, and we have to keep up the American tradition of alcohol smuggling. So, gonna have to do that. Yeah, he did it fast, and I think that's because he spoke the native language. I think that gave him an advantage. He also knew the culture because he had spent 6 years there, and so in a sense, his slavery opened up a tool here to do that. Yes, very very nasty in Northern Ireland. We used to get stories about it all the time. It wasn't, I could never understand it really either. So, hey, J Cal, good to see you. Let's see, Deviant Outcast. All right. Oh, it's good to see Deviant Outcast. Good to see you. Les Frybender, thanks for coming out. But yeah, we're having a little fun here with CBN's version of St. Patrick. So, but they're kind of buying his confessions without a lot of criticism, a lot of critical thought. So, there's that. Oh man.
Years later, still having a day on our calendar to recognize Patrick.
That's the reason to celebrate right there. Quite the missionary.
I'm not sure I celebrate missionary efforts anymore that are successful. I just don't. It just means you had really good presentation, and we might look at St. Patrick as one of the first television evangelists before television. He seems to have the ability to deal with the Irish people because he can speak the native language, of course, but also, he had an understanding of their culture, and I could see why he would be successful. But he has all this mythology and legendary stuff put around him, and that's because the actual evidence, like the confessions and other things we know from history about him, are kind of scant. I guess that's kind of the way it is. So I don't get the the issue of how being a successful missionary gives you kudos anymore. I just don't have that, thing. So there's that. Very true. I would say from somebody who is deconverting it, people do have a hard time letting go of their religious beliefs, and they have a much easier time getting rid of the belief system, but the religious ways of thinking are still in your brain. So that's kind of something that you have to deal with when you're deconverting. That is a deconversion issue. I don't know, things like St. Patrick's Day, celebrating and just, going out and having a few drinks and doing some stuff that's a little crazy on St. Patrick's Day, doesn't he? That's because he is a clueless Christian hack. He's introduced as a Christian historian, and I read a couple of reviews of his books, and the historians don't like his book. So, because he accepts a lot of things that real historians don't accept, because like the 3-leaf clover thing, there's no evidence that St. Patrick actually came up with that. He doesn't even write about that in his confessions. So that's pure tradition kind of thing, legendary development, if you will. So, all right. Hey, J Cal, thanks. That's one. I still have my hat sitting over here. Gonna take a few more super chats to get me to wear it, though. So, it's a St. Patrick's Day themed hat, sort of. And there's Native, welcome Native. But yeah, I don't know. They're going to build up the missionary efforts of St. Patrick as being very successful. I'll agree they were very successful. I'm not sure they were very beneficial. The Christians end up killing a lot of the Druids and burning a lot of their stuff. So that part is left out. So we don't really know the Druids' point of view about this whole thing. So whether it was peaceful or not. So let's see, for my Protestants, I want to go back to the good old counties and disenfranchise the Catholics. Yes, that's kind of what happened. It's always a danger when you have two variants of the same religion having to coexist. it as horrible as some of the things that main religions do to each other, like Islam versus Christianity, is a notorious long history that's still going on of atrocities towards each other. When you get two versions of the same Christianity, it gets worse. So there's that aspect of it. So yeah, it gets worse. So there's that. So missionary, how many percent of the population would you have to convert? I don't know. With the Catholics, if you convert the king of a land and he makes it the official religion, I guess that's a victory too. I'll give Roman Catholicism this: in the Middle Ages, they knew how to play the politic game. They would convert the kings, and then the kings, and the way you convert a king is very good. You just go up to him and say, hey, we have money. We will help you buy a new army so you can defeat your enemy. Just convert to Christianity. Yeah, where do I sign up? Where do I sign up? And I think that's kind of the way it goes with a lot of it. So you saw it on the internet? Yeah, I posted a meme on my Facebook page of St. Patrick meeting Medusa, and Medusa becomes bald. I thought that was hilarious, if you know your mythology. I don't know if I'm going to do a green goatee. Oh, man. See, I've never dyed my hair, and I wouldn't know what to do to get it out. And thank you, Martin. That's 3. So we're 2 more to go. I'm just saying, it's an American tradition going all the way back to John Hancock, okay, of smuggling whiskey. I mean, half of the guys that signed the Constitution of the United States were merchants, and that's a fancy name for smugglers. So, and we have an American tradition that goes through Prohibition all the way to the present day of smuggling in duty-free anything. So getting past the tax man is kind of an American thing. So we've always been doing that. Oh, it's one who doesn't get killed, Michael. Okay, welcome. Good to see you. So, good, successful missionary is one that doesn't get killed. I don't know. Yeah, they were selling indulgences too. I mean, when you look at that part of the history, paganism basically loses because it isn't well funded. Okay, it just doesn't have the financial backing. Okay, the Roman Catholic Church is selling indulgences and making money left and right. And they're basically giving that money to rulers that supported them, so they had more money to buy more soldiers. So the whole mercenary thing comes in play and all that stuff. So when you look at Christianity, how it spread across Europe, it isn't because of, they're making the claim that St. Patrick did this by peace. And I'm, given the fact that we only have St. Patrick's word for it, that he was the one always in danger of dying. I don't know. I mean, the thing about St. Patrick is, once again, I'll say it, there's more evidence of his existence than Jesus, but that's not saying much. So, and have a Guinness. All right. That's 4. That's 4. And Fred has to make it a perfect 5. No, I decided that I would do a St. Patrick's Day themed hat, but there was also a request for a certain type of hat. So it ended up being something I picked up this morning because of the aspect of certain aspects. So we have our St. Patrick's Day plaid fedora today. So But thank you, everybody. So there's that. But I don't know where the St. Patrick mythicists are, but they should exist. Most contemporary historians don't deny that St. Patrick exists. They just have a lot of questions about him. It's a little small, unfortunately, my hat. I look festive. I know it's very unlike me to be festive. so there's that. Now I'm a real atheist because I have a fedora, and I didn't go normal, boring fedora either. Okay, did I? I'm going with a green and white plaid. So there's that. Not sure. Yeah, claiming somebody exists isn't a low bar. It's not really hard to prove somebody existed either. So that's not the issue with most of these guys. It's what they did. The driving out of snakes of Ireland is metaphorical because there's never really been any snakes in Ireland, at least not since the Ice Age. There's just a lot of stuff that gets attached to Patrick, and you see the idea of mythological development in a character, and I think that's the same as with saints. Like the problem with saints is you get the same shit where the reality of the man becomes this legendary figure, and then there's a lot of mythology attached to him. Saint Patrick is a good example of that. And it's also how you can see how Jesus is a good example of that too. That there was this kernel idea of Jesus, whether it was a real person or something else. And then it just grew and grew and grew into something that's unrecognizable to the reality. Oh. Norris came to Birkenhead. Yeah, questionable success for the Norse. Norse paganism died hard. It's still around. So, they do. Oh, I'm sure everybody has repetitive phrases they use. All right. Well, let's get back to let's see what CBN goes with this.
And he brought the law with him too. So now that they're not chopping off heads, he comes up with what's called the Code of Patrick. It has some Latin law and some Bible, and this is then taken in the next century by Irish missionaries to Britain, and it.
Okay. So we've moved on to this claim about law being based in Christianity. I'm not sure I want laws based on the Bible at all. I've never found this claim to be as if the Irish didn't know not to kill people or steal shit before Christianity got there. It's the same claim you see with a lot of people like Charlie Kirk will claim that Christianity and the Bible are the basis for English law. I just don't find that, connect the dots for me, like what parts of the Bible lead to the laws that we have. Like where do you get the Bill of Rights from the Bible, or where do you get British common law? Seems to be more about the common law that was simply practiced. So I don't understand this notion of why. I get it from a Christian nationalist standpoint, and CBN is definitely very pro-Christian nationalist. So they're trying to weave in the St. Patrick's Day story here a little bit, where he's trying to say the law came from the Irish that had learned it from the Code of St. Patrick or whatever. And it's like, I don't remember the Code of St. Patrick being mentioned in political science or history that much. So I don't know. It's kind of like, yeah, Yeah, this is the thing about the law. Law is based on survival. There's no God needed for it. We come up with laws. They're very common laws across all nations, across all cultures, that are basically about societal. And yes, the Irish had perfectly good laws before Christianity came along. So, um, trust you, you know these things. They had to be the bad guy. Okay, fair enough. Um, let's see. Judeo-Christian influence on Western law meme is strong. Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think that this is necessarily true. The problem I've always had with this argument is when I look at the actual law as it stands, and then you look at the Bible and what its laws as it presents the commandments, there's not a lot of correlation. Like I've openly challenged uh, I openly challenged a theist once to demonstrate to me where the Bill of Rights came from the Bible. You know, it's like where do these rights come from? Can you show them to me in the Bible where the statement is that led to these understanding of rights? And they couldn't do it because there is really no connection. You have the Ten Commandments, and the Ten Commandments are completely antithetical to the Constitution for the most part. You know, it's like I just don't see it. You don't see it in law codes of English or anything else. I think law is basically a practical reality, and then religion likes to steal it. And I think that's what's happening here with this little video here. So, you like the hat? Okay, that's good. It's a little small for me, so I need a bigger fedora, I think. My fat head, probably. Let's see. And I think Abrahamic religions in general brought stealing as being, you first have to own something before it can be stolen. I think most communities do not live by owning. Yeah, that's probably true. I could see that. Yeah. But yeah, I just don't, when I look at like English common law and that theory, it's like, no. I don't really see a lot of Christianity in there. There's not a lot of correction. There's no connection that's direct, and so it's like they just make stuff up. And yeah, I think there's a lot more modern attitudes. I think that's the thing with paganism that most people don't realize, that paganism has a pretty good contribution to common law as well. It's not, you could say that some Christian stuff got in there, but there's a lot of pagan stuff in common law too. So just practical, this is fair stuff. So yeah, and Roman law existed too that had nothing to do with Christianity as well, and that influences common law. Common law and modern common law are just so influenced by so many different directions that I don't think any one religion or one ideology can make a claim to them. So it's all those big wrinkly brains you have there. Yeah, probably. Probably. They're definitely wrinkly. I'm getting older. As we'll celebrate tomorrow. I'll have to talk about that near the end. Um, yeah, it's solidarity. Chimps have that. There's common behavior without law that people pretty much hold to. And, you know, what I really bothers me is when Christians, particularly Christian nationalists, try to claim that they're the origin story for all this stuff, and they're not. Um, I remember when I reacted to the Charlie Kirk video a couple months ago, he made the bold-faced statement that it had nothing to do with the Enlightenment thinkers. It had everything to do with Christianity, the Constitution. And it's like, dude, there's literally forests of trees that have been killed writing books about the connections between the Enlightenment thinkers, like Richelieu and Montesquieu and Locke and the founding of the Constitution. And there's very little that has been written making the Christian connection. So, yeah, that's arguable too. Like a lot of paganism has a quality of the sexes. It's kind of that yin yang, male female dynamic where both are necessary to be kept in balance. And they definitely accepted, if you wanted to be in love with another two girls together, two guys together, that was not uncommon as people think it is. Christianity is one that changed all that. That is very true. So, and do animals have feelings? Yes, they do. So there's that. Well, let's finish this one out. I don't think there's much left. We'll find out. Yeah, let's go.
Eventually turns into the English common law. It's codified by Alfred the Great. And then these.
Okay, so now I've heard my fourth or fifth origin story for British common law, which is now it came from the Irish through St. Patrick. And then I've heard it came through some guy that was English. And, so there's now about 5 of these things. So I'm not sure which one to do that. Oh, okay. And then I got some more gifted memberships by Ronald. Thank you very much. So let's see. Pinworm, Pete himself, Hal4L, 9K, Tinker Cat, and Godless Granny. All got there. Good to see you, Godless Granny. A lot of people lurk on my streams and they just don't talk. I don't know why that is. Some almost famous atheists like myself. There's that. All right. Well, let's see what else he has to say. But this is like the 5th origin story I've heard of British common law coming through Christian laws, codes, and saints. So I don't know which one's true. Maybe they're all bullshit. So
Irish missionaries go back to Europe and evangelize all those heathen hordes that had overrun the Roman Empire a century earlier. So it sort of goes full circle. Columbanus evangelizes into Europe. And then there's a St. Brendan. The way these Irish missionaries would do it is they'd go down to the coast, get in a little dinghy boat, raise the sail, and wherever the wind blew them, they figured that's where the Holy Spirit wanted them to be a missionary. And
okay, as a missionary technique, I have to object because, and this is kind of the origin story, I think, of one of these missionaries is the one who's discovered North America because he got blew across the Atlantic Ocean. I've always wanted to Atomic. I've always wanted to start a band with the word heathen in it somewhere. So yeah. Yes, part of the heathen horde. Yes, everybody wants to be part. Europe always has an interesting history of how religions and paganism and Christianity in particular went at it a lot. So I find it very interesting because he's talking about all these successes of Ireland, but I think, as I recall, Ireland lost contact with the Holy See for a while because of the chaos going on in Europe. And they developed some like insular Christian traits, like the priests were still being married by the time Roman Catholicism rediscovered them. I think polygamy was practiced by the nobility because it was allowed by the Bible, et cetera, et cetera. So when the Holy See got in contact with them, then they had to change a bunch of things. So yeah, pretty much. You dive. That's why it's a legendary story. Like the problem is the Christians had Christopher Columbus for a long time. He discovered America. He was a Christian, a good Catholic boy. And then archaeology kind of revealed that the Vikings kind of arrived in North America 400 years before that. We can't have pagans discovering North America. So I think this is where this little story about Irish missionaries getting into dinghies and ended up in North America came from. So, so there's that. Stoic heathens. There we go. That rocks. That works for me. I don't know what instruments you guys play around here, so I don't know what. I don't play anything, so I sang in the choir. at the church once for a while. I took the bass and tenor starts, so there's that. All right, let's see what else
St.
he's going to
Brendan is
say.
blown to the west and nobody sees him for 7 years. And he comes back and he describes something that sounds like North America. And so St. Brendan is considered maybe the first one to discover North America.
Well, how would you describe it so that you, how would it be different in such a way that you would, how do we know he just didn't find some random island? I mean, I always love this because that's so general and vague about this. You know, it's like, how do you know it was North America? Well, it sounds something like North America. That's not exactly a ringing endorsement. But yeah, I have always suspected this is kind of an attempt by Christians to get back the fact that they were the religion that discovered North America from whatever they want to think of. To hell with the fact that there were a whole bunch of Native American tribes living here before we even got here, and one of them must have crossed the bridge in Alaska at one point. But we're not going to go into that. Canadians spell a lot of words funny. Yes, they do. So do Americans, though. Not musically skilled. All right. Oh, now you're getting triggered. You play air guitar and air drums. I do that too. Oh my gosh. Oh, some of the chat I can't reproduce. I just can't do it. All right. Where else is this guy going to go with this?
Fascinating story. Later, the British persecuted the Irish and they fled to America. And you have about 33 million people in America have Irish roots, especially during the Irish potato famine. Millions of Irish Catholics came over. So just a fascinating story of how one person that was in a very pagan culture was able to present the gospel and converted an entire nation and then affected us even to this day.
Yeah, and not in great ways. Yeah, the Irish potato famine definitely. I mean, I remember my father. My father had been a union member, so he had like this record of union songs, and one of them was "Irish Need Not Apply." So he that kind of introduced me to this idea. Oh, these Irish people came here and they really weren't wanted. But once again, that's how Americans treat immigrants most of the time. So, there's that. Oh man, but yeah. So basically, we're saying that Saint Patrick became the influence for all these historical events and missionary work, and the British common law actually owes its existence to Ireland. I wonder what they think about that. So. Yes, they did. And that's part of it. That's why I tell people famine is man made, because usually somewhere else the food is bountiful and you could easily solve the problem by sending the food. So, yes, the Irish famine was in part created by the British because they wouldn't help out the Irish. And so the Irish moved to America to try to get out of there. Go feed the starving masses. All right. There's the name Heathen Horde, who's an Indonesian black metal band. Don't know the music though. Yes, the Irish ended up being a lot of things, a lot of workers. in some places they have become known for being police officers because they weren't part of the system and didn't necessarily speak English either. So, they still had their Irish Gaelic stuff. It can. Usually, the thing with famine is there's usually some country around where a famine area is that could supply that food easily and often does. A lot of famines are caused because the rulers or the government decide not to give out food. And so there's that. They weren't obsessed. The organization really has directed by the ruling class, kings and chieftains, which had their alliances with their neighbors, and not all the kings of far off lands. Yeah, it's the thing about the whole European Christian thing and the pagan thing has always fascinated me because it seems to me that the Christians played a better overall diplomatic political game, and they also played a better military game in the end. The politics, though, is pretty strong. I mean, when you basically the Catholic Church says, join us and we'll give you lots and lots of money to fight your war. Yeah, that seems to kind of go a long way to helping it. Yeah, there's that argument. We keep having more and more people on the planet, but it's population dynamics. At some point, it'll give. If we don't develop the technology to make more food, which is what we've done to stave it off so far, there will be a time when there just isn't enough to feed everybody. Yes, they also took hostages from the ruling families, and so you're kind of forced to be Christian. So we trust you to be Christian, but not that much. So we're going to take hostages for you. So it's I just look at it, and the political game is what really amazes me about Europe, because the way Christians present it, they just present the truth of the gospel, and everybody just, oh, this is so wonderful, so we're going to just accept this new wonderful loving message, and that's the way Christianity spread across Europe. But the truth of the matter is, it's a lot of political skullduggery that spread Christianity across Europe. Like, there was this advantage that the Christians had because they had cash. They had a lot of money, thanks to the holy, indulgences and all that other crap. So, give to the church. We're giving you salvation. You give back us your filthy lucre. We'll take your money. You don't need it. So, and then they would, buy a ruler's loyalty, or give that ruler an army, or support, the secular rulers to do stuff. And it's not the love and light that they portray it to be when you really look at Christian history and how it does it. But yeah, this has been, it's an interesting way that Christians view certain characters like St. Patrick. Like, as an atheist, I look at him very differently. Like, I think he was dumb lucky. He also happened to be one of those right person at the right time kind of things to convert Ireland so quickly. But it had nothing to do with his spirituality. It also, this video has kind of showed the low bar, historical low bar that Christians have when confirming history of things. Like, they accept miracles without any evidence. They expect, this guy's guided by dreams, so it must be true. Yeah, Frederick Douglass. That's a good quote from him, though. It is. Doing what's in everyone's best interest will no longer be in everybody's best interest. Yes. Yeah, it's a question: do we need this many humans? I don't know. I'm not part of the human race. I claim that every once in a while. So well, it'll be that. It'll be that. I don't know. I just, you can see the mind here of the theist when presenting one of their heroes. This video just didn't strike me as completely genuine. There was definitely some propaganda to it where he's rolling some stuff in about English common law coming from Ireland through St. Patrick. He's talking about pagans in a very negative light. They were negative against civilization and society, as if they didn't have a civilization and a society before Christians got there. Christianity makes very bold claims for itself like that. So, yeah, good luck. The problem with humans is they very much are like herding cats as a general rule. So, yeah, I don't buy that solution. I don't. All right, I think they don't say it. It's just a shill for the channel after that. So, I want to thank everybody for stopping by. This was absolutely fun and hilarious. Thank you very much for the donations of membership. Thank you, Ronald. Thank you for all the super chats today. Got the hat on, and we're about halfway to doing the Friday stream, but we got tomorrow's stream will be my birthday stream. It's a little later than normal because my daughter kind of surprised me by saying we were going to have a barbecue tomorrow, so I'll be doing that with them, and then I'll be back probably a little bit later to start. You don't like the hat now? Yeah, it's too small. It's the only size I had though left, so I grabbed it. So yeah, but thank you everybody. Hit the like button on the way out, as Ronald says. You know, what is this, Fred? You said you weren't. I thought you said you weren't using the Google Translate anymore this evening. So yeah, but so happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. Thank you all. This has been a fun little stream, and hopefully taught a few lessons about how Christians have a kind of a low bar for historical stuff. All the secular historians I read about St. Patrick or watched their videos were basically like, we kind of sort of know, but we don't necessarily know anything. Most of it we get from the man's own lips. So that's kind of a problem. So I know. I'm sorry. I'm trusting. This is what gets me into trouble. I trust people I shouldn't. So yes, and don't forget to consensually smash the like button. I appreciate all that. But thank you, everybody. It's been wonderful. It's been great. I will see you all tomorrow for my birthday stream. Tentatively at 8:00 Eastern Standard Time, United States. I'll be doing my birthday stream, just a little celebration of I guess my 56th trip around the sun since being born. So we'll talk about that, and I'm just there to have a good time, and people will be welcome into the stream. So that are my friends. So thank you very much for that. And as always, you guys live your best life. You only get one go around and then it's over. So take all your time, money, and opportunities and spend them on yourself, the people you love and care for, to make this a better world. You'll be happier if you do. And take some time to celebrate St. Patrick's Day, just to have a beer or some whiskey and before it gets too expensive. So, but do all that and celebrate life, because it's important to do those things. Don't waste your time on the trappings of religion and faith, because that's a dead end. I speak from experience. And as always, thanks for stopping by, guys, and I will catch you all next time.